Did you know JFK was never supposed to be president? It was supposed to be his brother, Joe. But one secret mission, a plane loaded with explosives, and a single spark changed American history forever. To understand this tragedy, you have to understand the pressure on Joseph Patrick Kennedy Jr. Back stateside in Hyannis port, he was the golden child. He was the eldest, the strongest, and the one his father groomed for the White House. He had the looks, the Harvard education, and the charisma to lead the free world. But when war broke out, politics had to wait. Joe didn't just want to serve. He wanted to be a hero. He needed to prove that the Kennedy name meant courage. By 1944, Joe was already a seasoned Navy pilot stationed in England. He was flying the B-24 Liberator, a massive beast of a plane, hunting U-boats across the chill of the Atlantic. He had completed his 25 missions. He had his ticket home. He could have gone back to Massachusetts, started his political campaign, and lived a long life. But then he heard about a secret project. The Navy brass called it Operation Anvil. It was dangerous. It was experimental, and it was exactly what Joe was looking for. The Allies had a major problem over in Europe. The Nazis were building massive concrete bunkers in France to launch V-1 and V-2 rockets at London. These V-weapons were terrorizing civilians, and normal bombing runs just couldn't crack those concrete domes. They were too thick, too well protected. The United States Army Air Forces and the Navy needed a sledgehammer. They needed a bomb so big that no normal plane could drop it. They needed a flying bomb. This is where the concept of the drone was born. But folks, this wasn't like the digital drones we have today. This was 1944. The technology was primitive. The plan was to take old B-24 Liberator bombers, strip them of all armor, machine guns, and seats, and pack them with explosives. They called these planes Willies. The idea was to fly them by remote control directly into those Nazi bunkers. It was the first guided missile in history, but it had a fatal flaw. The technology wasn't advanced enough to get these heavy birds off the runway by remote control. A human pilot had to take off, get the plane to 2,000 feet, arm the explosives, and then bail out over the English countryside while a mothership took over control via radio. Joe Kennedy volunteered to be that pilot. He knew the odds. He knew that he would be sitting on top of 21,000 pounds of Torpex. That is an explosive 50% more powerful than TNT. The risk was astronomical. The electronics used to control these drones were full of vacuum tubes and crude wiring. One short circuit, one stray radio signal, and the whole thing would blow. But Joe was competitive. His younger brother, John F. Kennedy, had just become a war hero in the Pacific after his PT-109 boat was sunk. Joe felt the weight of that. He couldn't go home second best. He told a friend that he was going to stay for one more big job. On the morning of August 12, 1944, the air at the First Field Airfield was thick with tension. Joe Kennedy and his co-pilot, Lieutenant Wilford J. Willie, climbed into their modified Liberator. This plane, codenamed Zoot Suit Black, was literally a flying powder keg. There were no safety measures once the fuses were armed. Joe looked calm, flashing that famous Kennedy smile. But everyone on the tarmac knew that this was practically a suicide run. The ground crew watched in silence as the engines roared to life. Taking off with that much weight was a nightmare. The plane was sluggish, heavy, and barely wanted to leave the ground. But Joe was an ace. He wrestled the yoke, pushing the throttles forward, and lifted the massive bomb into the gray English sky. They began their ascent, climbing slowly to reach the rendezvous point with the control planes. Inside the cockpit, the smell of aviation fuel and the hum of the electronics must have been overwhelming. They were riding on the most dangerous weapon in the world. Following close behind them was a Lockheed Ventura, the mothership, filled with engineers staring at small television screens. This was cutting-edge tech. There was a camera in the nose of Joe's plane transmitting grainy black and white footage back to controllers. The plan was simple. Fly to the coast. Arm the system. Hand over control to the mothership. And jump out. Parachutes were on. The escape hatch was ready. Everything was going according to the flight plan. As they approached the coast near the village of Blitzburg, they reached a critical moment. It was time to arm the fuses. Joe radioed the code word, Spade flush. This meant the explosive charge was now live. One tiny spark was all it would take. At this point, they were roughly 2,000 feet over the quiet English landscape. The mothership pilot, Colonel Elliott Roosevelt, the president's son, was watching from just a few hundred yards away. What happened next is still debated by engineers today. There was no enemy fire. There were no German fighters. But suddenly, without warning, the electronics betrayed them. Maybe it was a stray radar signal from the ground. Maybe a solenoid stuck. But the arming mechanism likely tripped the detonator prematurely. In a fraction of a second, the 21,000 pounds of Torpex did exactly what it was designed to do. The explosion was so massive it shattered windows in towns miles away. It wasn't just a crash. It was a total vaporization. The sky turned into a brilliant double flash of white and yellow fire. One observer said it looked like the sun had exploded. The shock wave nearly knocked the trailing mothership out of the sky, injuring one of the crewmen who was thrown to the floor. In an instant, the plane, Joe Kennedy, and Bud Willie were simply gone. Down on the ground, the debris rained down over the new-to-light wood. But there wasn't much left. No large pieces of fuselage. No bodies to recover. The violence of blast had turned the aircraft into confetti. The brave men who had volunteered for this mission had been erased from existence in midair. The silence that followed the roar of the explosion was haunting. The mission was a catastrophic failure, and the cost was unbearable. Back in Hyannis port, the family was gathering for lunch. They were used to waiting for news, but they weren't ready for this. When the two priests arrived at the door, Joseph Kennedy Sr. knew. The man who had built an empire, who had planned every step of his son's rise to the presidency, was broken. He went upstairs to his room and locked the door. The dream was dead. The golden boy was never coming home. This tragedy shifted the entire course of American history. With Joe gone, the burden of the father's ambition fell on the second son. Jack, who was sickly, intellectual, and had dreams of being a writer, was now the heir. He didn't want it, but he stepped up. If Joe had lived, JFK would likely have never run for Congress, let alone the presidency. The world we know today was shaped by that explosion over England. The Navy kept the details of the mission classified for years. They didn't want the enemy to know about the drone technology, and they didn't want the public to know how risky the operation really was. Joe Kennedy Jr. and Bud Willie were awarded the Navy Cross posthumously for their heroism. But for decades, people only knew they died in the line of duty, not that they were piloting the world's first remote-control weapon of mass destruction. Today, if you visit the Cambridge American Cemetery in England, you won't find a grave for Joe Kennedy Jr. There was nothing left to bury. Instead, his name is carved into the limestone of the tablets of the missing. He is there alongside thousands of other brave Americans who gave everything for freedom. It stands as a silent reminder of the price paid by families, both rich and poor, in the fight against tyranny. People often talk about the Kennedy curse. They look at the assassinations, the accidents, and the tragedies that followed the family for decades. But it all started there in the skies over Suffolk. It started with a brave young man who wanted to do more than what was expected of him. It started with a secret mission that went terribly wrong. It was a moment the Kennedys learned that money and power could not stop fate. Joe Kennedy Jr. died a hero, not because of his name, but because of his choice. He flew into the unknown, knowing he might not come back. He paved the way for the drone technology we use today, but he paid the ultimate price. As we remember history, let's not forget the brother who was supposed to be king, the pilot who vanished into the light, forever young, forever the golden boy of a lost generation.